Hello. Welcome. From a different host this time, because usually it's Will, but he is deathly ill, I guess. Something like that on those terms.
He caught AIDS. It's okay.
So we'll just, he's our guy in the truck this episode. He's in the studio, but not visible or talking or audible or anything to you guys. But he is like our technical guy this episode. So thank you to him. And we hope he gets better. How are you guys doing?
Yeah. This week was rough.
Rough week. Colton?
I'm fine and dandy. I'm glad to be here, boys. Ready to talk some ball, get my loss out of the way, and we're ready to rock and roll, man. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for another week of football, and playoff baseball's off and running, so it's great to be in the sports world right now.
Playoff baseball's off and running. NFL week 5 is up. We get our first bye weeks this week. Hockey starts on Friday in 2 days. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Basketball starts later this month, so we get the eclipse of all the sports at one point in time. But it's a good month for sports. It is October 2nd, and that's a month when it comes to this for sports time, the only time of the year. So, but we're here to talk football. I'm here to be a host for the first time in like years. And Will's Ironman streak is officially over. I know he's very sad about that. So, yeah, without further ado, Will's controlling this. Go for the thing, Will. Do the thing.
You are listening to For the Fan.
Thank you, Will. That was perfect. Great timing. I'll only expect night now. You can follow us. He's gonna throw up the ticker there. You can follow us on all these social medias at the bottom there. Great timing again. It's just so wonderful. Twitter, TikTok. TikTok's been blowing up still. We post the pics. The pics got a lot of interaction last week. People calling other people out. People saying, "Hey Dom, look, there's upsets. I only won half of them, so it didn't even matter." So yeah, that's where you could check out all of our stuff during the week. Stuff is constantly being posted. It's a good time. And then here we are on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. For anyone in here on TikTok, I don't have it up. I know Will has it up. If there are people there wanting fantasy advice, we'll do that halfway through the show, at around maybe 5:30-ish. So expect that. That's been fun the last couple weeks. I gotta get that up. There we go. And thank you for everyone watching that is watching, and we hope you enjoy. Kind of weird being in the host seat for one. What do you guys think about the
week?
What?
We're extra disabled this week.
Extra disabled. Yep, as you know, extra impaired this week. Literally impaired 3/4 of us again. What do you guys think about the game this week? Good week, bad week, fun week, not so fun week?
Not so fun. Want to jump off a bridge? Sky is falling.
Had some good night games, I would say. Also had some not so good night games. Colton, what do you think?
Me, I always love watching the games. Monday night had a good game and an absolute dog water game. Sunday night was disappointing, to say the least. I thought that was going to be an entertaining game, and it ended up being a waxing, first half into the game. But I love watching football. I love seeing some of the stories around the league. And, I think probably the biggest story of them all that I think just came out in the last 24 to 48 hours, the Vegas Raiders. I don't know what you guys, your thoughts are on that, but I think that'd be a great starting point on everything with Davante Adams, with the whole thing with Antonio Pierce liking a post. Davante Adams on Up and Adams there with Kay Adams. Love her, miss her on NFL Network. And everything going on with that. And what in the hell is going on here? I can't believe what's going on, Davante Adams, and he is now available. Clearly,
I fully expected this season. Fully expected this. The only reason he went to the Raiders was for Derek Carr. The only reason he wanted to play with his buddy.
It's true.
And then I don't even know what you want to call it, axed him, whatever word you want to use. They just said, nah, you're gone. We don't want any part of you. Go be a Saint. Go sign with whatever team you want. And Adams is just looking at this, like, the quarterbacks that are left, like, what am I supposed to do now? I came here for that guy.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my first point, Colton. So that's phenomenal that you really just brought us in on that. I heard a lot of everyone being like, yeah, Davante Adams, he won't make it the whole season there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, there's some names thrown out there, or like some teams throwing out there. Obviously, the Jets is a big one because Rodgers, I heard enough of that in the offseason, like, oh, Davante Adams is definitely going to the Jets this offseason. I know Will said it.
I said it.
You said it.
I fully expect that to happen. I did not expect them to make it to the season with the Raiders, let alone finish it with the Raiders.
That's valid. I know I've seen New Orleans thrown out there, obviously because of Derek Carr. So those are the two quarterbacks we all know he would play with. And then the other team, the most thrown out there so far, and it seems to be reported that there's definitely interest, is the Commanders, which would be a really interesting spot. And I think obviously the Commanders would want to see that. Us as fans, the Commanders have been doing great. That would only, that'd be spectacular for them. I know if he wants to go there.
I think, no, he wanted to play with Jaden Daniels. He wanted them to draft Jaden Daniels, I think.
If that's true, then I'm sure that could be a spot. Colton, you definitely know more about this because you said it was Anthony Pierce liking a tweet. I don't know anything about that, or Adams being on Up and Adams or whatever in the morning. I forget what her show name is, but
so Antonio Pierce liked something about it being Davante Adams' possibly last game with the Raiders. Kay Adams then asked him, like, hey, is Antonio Pierce like one of those, oh, I accidentally like something, even though, like, I accidentally like something like that? Like, someone's got to, like, especially in the Raiders, like, oh, yeah, Antonio Pierce, you just liked something that you probably shouldn't have liked about your star player. Probably the second best player on their roster outside of Max Crosby. Big contract and everything. And Kay Adams goes, his coach reached out to you or anything? He goes, no, he hasn't reached out to me. I'm just showing up doing my job. And I'm like, okay, this is awkward. And then I think pretty much at the end of the day there after the show, you get the news that he now formally requested a trade. And it sounds like the Raiders are out there doing their due diligence, reaching out to teams, kind of like testing the water, what the market could be for Davante Adams. I know Diana Rossini tweeted out today that the Steelers have had contact with the Raiders. Steelers were clearly in on Brandon Ayuk in the offseason and kind of went back and forth for 2 months with the 49ers. So I know the Steelers are definitely interested in. Clearly the leader in the clubhouse, like Jake and like Dom, and Will's probably jumping up and down in his seat there behind the scenes. And it's the Jets. Clearly it's been linked for a few seasons now. I feel like ever since he got to the Raiders and how crap the season was with the Raiders, that it was all of a sudden like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have left Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So, again, he was chasing his money, wasn't getting in Green Bay. Green Bay didn't want to pay him. Same thing with Rodgers. Just didn't want to keep everyone happy there. Kind of seemed like they were ready to move on for both those guys, and they did so. And, they've always stayed in touch. Rodgers always kind of had those weird comments and smirks when it comes to talking about Davante Adams. So, clearly the Jets are leaders in the clubhouse. I don't know how that works. You have Alan Lazard there making a decent penny that you brought in, Aaron Rodgers' buddy. You have Garrett Wilson there clearly, and you just signed Mike Williams in the offseason. But, you can't have enough weapons in this league. You never know what injuries. The Philadelphia Eagles will touch on them a little bit later in the show, but clearly devastated with injuries this week as far as receivers go. So I guess you can't have too many receivers in this league. So clearly not enough weapons for Aaron Rodgers.
That's very valid. Obviously, we'll stay up to date on that whole whatever you want to call that, the sweepstakes for Davante Adams. Getting into injuries, this is the part that Will is really good at, that I figured out real fast that I don't think I'll be as good at, but we're going to try. Mike Evans is questionable with a knee calf this week. He was limited on Tuesday yesterday. Anthony Richardson, questionable with the hip. He did not practice today. Austin Eckler with his concussion, he is on track to play Sunday. We got Malik Neighbors. We saw him on sideline with that drop where he stayed down for a little bit. He is questionable with a concussion. Dable didn't provide a timetable for his return. So I don't know. Like I said, he's questionable. I don't know how that's going to go. Brandon Cooks is out. I believe that news came out today. He'll be out for at least just this week. He's dealing with an infection in his leg from this past Thursday. Interesting. Jonathan Taylor, he had an ankle injury. He's questionable. He missed practice today. What else we got? Christian Watson, Green Bay Packers. He's out with an ankle injury. Joe Mixon, questionable. What is his status? He's day-to-day this week, so that could be anything. Tank Dell, day-to-day as well. That's what I got going on there. Will's really good at this, guys. I'm not going to lie. This is not easy.
I think because I was a lot of the fantasy ones, so it's not going to have the teams, but I think we kind of have to talk about the Cowboys and their 2-star defensive players.
Who's that? Trayvon Diggs? I don't know what his status is.
That'd be DeMarcus Lawrence and
yeah.
Micah Parsons. Both going to be out this week.
Yeah.
The only good thing for the Cowboys is their bye is right around the corner. Lawrence is on the IR with a foot injury. Thank you, Will. And Micah Parsons has a high ankle sprain, and I think he's going to avoid the IR. I mean, they're bye weeks. I think is it after Pittsburgh or the week after? So they're right around the corner from their bye. So it sounds like Micah Parsons will be ready to rock and roll. But it sounds like both those guys are out Sunday Night Football versus Pittsburgh. And the same thing with Brandon Cooks, which was a surprise pop-up and out this week for Dallas. So Dallas wounded, licking their wounds, heading into Pittsburgh for Sunday Night Football. And the big one, I think, around the NFL, and that would be, thank you again, Will, for that, that would be Nick Chubb back and practicing. The Browns opened up this window to get him off the IR, and same thing with Nyheim Hines. So both those guys back at practice, and Nick Chubb without a brace on his knee after that devastating injury against Pittsburgh last season. So Cleveland desperately needs him. The offense looks piss poor in Cleveland. So the fact that you can get Nick Chubb back hopefully sometime soon for Cleveland would be pretty huge for them.
We will answer fantasy questions in a while, but I do see this comment on TikTok. Yo, someone dropped JE in my league. I already have 5 running backs, including Chubb. Should I drop Pitts for him? If someone dropped JT in your league, he's only questionable. It's not like he's going to be out for a while, I believe. So I would say that's a definite pickup. I know we were just talking injuries, so that kind of was relevant. So I had to say that. Also, Jamison Crowder and Marcus Mariota expected to return this week. Or wait, no, sorry, completely wrong. Marcus Mariota is returning this week as the backup for Jaden Daniels. But, someone like Jaden Daniels who running quarterback, we just saw it with Richardson this past week. That I think is at least a little bit notable.
It's only notable because of Jaden Daniels' college history, which he's avoided so far.
And he's taken some licks already this season, but, he's gotten up after every single one, so that's been good.
He got up.
By the way,
he got hit a bunch in college.
Same thing with what's his name. As far as the practice window goes, the Vikings are opening up the practice window for tight end T.J. Hawkinson. So an already loaded Minnesota Vikings team could be possibly getting some help along the way in the tight end room with T.J. Hawkinson with his IR practice window opening up. And the Rams as well with Darius Williams and much needed help with their secondary all banged up there in L.A.
That's nice. Tampa Bay is very banged up as well. They have quite an amount of injuries, people out. Antoine Winfield Jr., Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, along with some others. I mean, they have quite a slew of injuries. I know Carolina does.
Before we jumped on as well, Miami, speaking of the Fins, that would be Jalen Phillips, season-ending injury with his knee that he injured Monday night. So back-to-back seasons. For a guy that has a lot of history with injuries, it's a damn shame. He's a damn good football player. But back-to-back seasons here now with season enders for Jalen Phillips for the Miami Dolphins, the edge rusher out of the U, who had a lot of injuries coming out of college. That's why he kind of fell in the draft because, when we've seen him on the field, he's a legitimate edge rusher in this league. So, and already beat up Miami Dolphins team, gets another jab in the gut because they're still without Bradley Chubb, who tore his ACL late in the season last year. So I don't know what Miami's going to do defensively. I mean, they're already in a bad spot as far as not having Tua, but this is
it the
icing
time
on
to
the
have a
cake.
conversation about Miami?
Is it time to have a conversation about Miami? Talk about Miami. There are a lot of questionables. Raheem Mostert, David Long, Terran Armstead, Kendall Fuller. Obviously, you just said Jalen Phillips, Skylar Thompson. So they do have a slew as well, and it's kind of as per usual in Miami. What we see seems to be every single year.
Within the first 5 weeks, they get decimated.
Here we are again. We talked about this in the preseason where it was just like, yeah, if they could stay healthy. Already very not staying healthy. So I don't know, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the thought just popped in my head. Like, we have this conversation every year. Like,
every year.
And now Phillips getting hurt for the year again.
Yeah.
Tua getting hurt probably for the year again. Like, something's not right for this many injuries that they constantly keep getting.
Every year. It's a thing every single year. I mean, even last year when Tua stayed healthy the whole year, they had a good season, whatever. Injuries, man, every single year.
I have a simple thing about the Miami Dolphins in their health.
Did somebody say boom?
Yeah.
Take out the Brandon Staley stuff. We gotta just put the Miami Dolphins logo on that because that's exactly what the Miami Dolphins are. It's just it's just an explosion.
I don't remember I made that, and I don't remember the thing with him on the ground right there. That was kind of wild that I did.
That was quite a video. That's quite
the Brandon Staley segment last season was probably my favorite thing.
Oh,
I do miss Brandon Staley for meme purposes.
And by the way, Brandon Staley on the Niners staff, they're having their worst defensive season so far. Just saying. So
yeah, when did I show you that Saturday?
Yeah,
Friday?
Brandon Staley's back in the light here. We got more poverty Brandon Staley coming up recently, so that's always a good time. But let's switch some gears here. What do you guys think about the games this week? What's your favorite game? I know Will always brings that up, so I decided to include that game of the week. There it is. Will's got it. I'm going to start right off. I'm going to start with Washington, man. I mean, again, another week, and I think, the only one that picked them this week, by the way, against Arizona, and they whooped Arizona. Washington's just getting better and better every week, man. Jaden Daniels, the whole situation, I'm liking it a lot. Brandon Robinson, I believe, had a good game this week as well. Like, Washington's a force at the moment.
I remember when we were doing the fantasy, I'm like, that game's going to have a lot of offense in it. So
did, especially by Washington.
Of my other games that I liked was the Monday night game we had to wait for and sit the other one for a little bit before it could start. Just Detroit dismantling what's not a bad Seattle team. That Seattle team's pretty good, especially since they're one of the few teams that's getting good quarterback play. And Detroit put their, stamp on the season like we're a team to be reckoned with.
And that's despite Kenneth Walker.
You could just flat out say it. Detroit put their balls on the table, and so did Jared Goff. He put his he put his what on the table. 18 of 18, I believe. Caught a tutty from St. Brown. Not a bad performance from QB1 there from the Detroit Lions there. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. That not a bad performance. Perfect game. And a receiving touchdown.
Not a perfect game because it doesn't count in the record book because it didn't have 20 passes yet. Kurt Warner's 10-pass perfect game is the one in the Hall of Fame as the record.
Yeah, and you don't need to have 20 passes if you complete 18 for almost 300.
But it won't be in the Hall of Fame. It won't be in the record books.
Yeah.
As a big game record.
Oh, and head coach, why?
Dan Campbell.
Thank you, Dan Campbell. Jeez Louise. Dan Campbell gave the game ball to not Jared Goff, and in a press conference today, he was like, yeah, I felt pretty bad about that one. I gave the game ball to the wrong guy or something like that. And I was like, that's too funny, man.
You gotta love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is probably my favorite coach in the NFL.
And it's going well. going pretty damn well. Colton, what did you say? Favorite game of the week for you? Game you like?
Game of the week for me. That's a good question. I guess impressive performance I'll go with, because I'm not really sure how many great games we saw this week. I mean, like, it was close, a lot of the games. I know the Steelers game got close late, which was nice for a game that was ugly early. But I guess the most impressive performance. See, Will's in the background. Vikings Packs easily. That game was awful early. That was blowout early. Same thing as Pittsburgh. I remember like texting someone. I was like, "Hey, at least the Steelers aren't the only team getting embarrassed to start off the 1 o'clock window." And they ended up coming back just like Pittsburgh. So Vikings Packers, sure. I know Kansas City Chargers was tight the whole time, but it was like boring. So for me, I'm going with most impressive game of the week and most impressive performance, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, God almighty. I know some people are like kind of like, yeah, how do you feel about Buffalo? Well, that gives you a whole new feeling on Buffalo because they beat the brakes off the Bills. Derrick Henry put a stamp on what a performance was for the Ravens. A welcome to Baltimore, if you should say, about Derrick Henry. King Henry put his implant on what that offense could look like if they can get the running game going, because he lit them up 199 for the Ravens on Monday or Sunday Night Football.
They broke their issues in a big way. They led, pretty wire to wire and didn't have a late game kind of lull. That was Baltimore's easily their best game so far, and it's like for us who have been holding on to those AFC North teams, that was we're back.
Yeah, it's kind of insane because we kind of talked about like, Derrick Henry, he is getting older and he's maintained through all this volume throughout his career and stuff, and he might not see the same volume of Baltimore and whatnot, but man, it doesn't matter. He'll see volume, and he's just insane right now. I mean, 87-yard run just to like start the game for fun, 1 yard or 1 play drive. That was a record in Baltimore's rushing history, a record for their longest run. So Derrick Henry's just out there having a good time. I mean, the team's better for it, obviously. I lean on it because they can. He's kind of nuts. We saw him a couple weeks ago just bury a Dallas defender in the ground. So he's crazy. All right. You guys want to get to fantasy? There's quite a bit here.
It's about that time.
It is about that time. What do we got? Let's see. Gosh.
Well, we got one in the.
Yeah. Let's throw that one up there. What do we got? My running backs are Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt. Sorry. My wide receivers are London, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, and Bowers. Would you do London, Deontay Johnson, or Godwin for Tyreek? Wow. He wants only one. What do you guys say?
If you get away, we'll just give him Deontay Johnson and hope Tyreek gets traded.
The only thing is Tyreek's, obviously not been good since Tua, but he could put up like 7 points. I think he'll put up a little bit of production at least every week, no matter the quarterback. I mean, the dude's going to be open, but he doesn't really get the ball. He had 7 points ish this week. Colton, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, you got to hope to God that Tyreek Hill gets traded. I think Deontay Johnson's kind of turning into a solid option. I'm kind of in that road right now because I've been offered a trade, and Deontay Johnson was one of the guys offered to me. And Deontay Johnson's had really good back-to-back weeks with the quarterback change, clearly. He had 20 points, I believe, this week and 20 points the week before. I am definitely in on the Deontay Johnson train, by the way. I am all aboard. As the NFL Network does their train thing. What train are you on? I'm on Deontay Johnson's train.
Dog agrees. Brad Wing, Jordan Addison, or Keith Irving? Who do you start?
Wow. I mean, Bucky Irving's getting some real burn over there.
Yeah, Bucky Irving's getting more volume. I don't mind that. Should I bench Tyreek for Brian Thomas Jr.?
That's not even a question at this point. Until Tua's back, that is a yes, and it's a wild yes. But there's no way you're trusting Tyler Huntley to get him the football, by the way. That's just not happening.
It's unfortunate because, like, you're going to have to stash Tyreek until hopefully he gets traded because he's not really that useful right now.
Someone with a smoke screen in the comments of Tyreek just got traded to the Chargers. That's funny. Should I start Zach Ertz or David Njoku this week for my tight end spot in fantasy? I don't think Zach Ertz is a bad option. He's gotten targets every week. He's been in the red zone as well. I wouldn't mind starting Zach Ertz. What else we got? Let's see. Should I start James Conner or Swift over A-Chain this week? My other running back is Kamara. What do you guys think?
I'm going to be honest, I zoned out.
Should I start James Conner or DeAndre Swift over A-Chain this week? A-Chain didn't have a good week last week. James Conner had an incredible week last week, I believe.
Yeah, so did Swift had a nice, I believe it was 50 long enough for a bonus point, too.
But that was Swift's only good game. I mean,
yeah,
if I were
finally had a great game, finally.
If I were going to take one, the safest bet would definitely be James Conner, I would think. He's had 3 great weeks and 1 poor week this season. He's kind of your guy to do well. On YouTube, what do we got? Giovanni says, Dobbins for ETN.
Hold on, Dobbins.
No.
Hold on.
I say no. I think J.K. Dobbins is very valuable, especially what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. It's not a bad trade if it's offered. I mean, ETN catches the ball, which, again, J.K. Dobbins is kind of like slowly starting to do. I know, like, the problem is I just don't love – the Chargers offense scares me a little bit in that regard. Like, the thing is, I love Justin Herbert. I think he's a really tough player. I don't love him as much as a lot of people love him. But what I'll give him, and I compared it a few weeks back, he's just like Matthew Stafford. He's a young Stafford. That dude's a baller and a gamer. Playing with a high ankle sprain, gets it tweaked against Pittsburgh. Everyone's like, all right, he's not going to play this week. He plays. He's just a tough SOB. Like, I just – hats off to Justin Herbert. I mean, that team is going to be scary in 2 years, by the way. Just a heads up to the NFL. Yeah. The fact that we have a legitimate head coach now and not the Staley meme anymore. Like, that is going to be a scary team in a few seasons. So, heads up on that. I don't think it's a bad trade, J.K. Dobbins for Travis Etienne. Again, the pass catching is a big plus with Etienne. God almighty, I don't trust these idiots in Jacksonville. We'll get to the power rankings, and you'll see that none of us trust the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a little hint for you as we get ready to, tease our power rankings. But God almighty. We have a lot of other comments. Everyone, we love hearing from you. Make sure you're hitting follow on our YouTube channel or TikTok. Love hearing from you guys. You guys love the fantasy football interactions. So we're going to head over here to Chad, who says, what do I do with Brandon Ayuk? Chad, I'm asking myself the same damn question. What am I doing with Brandon Ayuk? I'm a dumbass who drafted him in multiple leagues. I don't know what I'm doing with Ayuk. It depends what you're offered, Chad. And again, you have other legitimate receivers in Jamar Chase, who's finally getting up and running, and DK Metcalf, who's Geno's #1 guy. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is saying hello finally to the NFL as he's getting going there in Seattle. But it depends what you're offered, Chad. I don't know what everyone else here thinks. I don't know what Jake and Dom are thinking. Again, if you're offered something good for Ayuk, take it clearly. But I think it's just one of those traditional things that you see with guys holding out. The slow start, clearly missed all the reps. And again, it sounds stupid with all the reps, but just being in practice, you're seeing he's being missed. You're seeing that he clearly is missed, being in these in the football swing of things. And it's taking him a little bit to get going.
You kind of like touched on what I was going to go to is like the receivers he has allows him to be patient with a guy who probably was going to have a slow start from the holdout, who I fully expect, especially with CMC going to be out, they're going to need to lean on those guys, Ayuk and Debo, that eventually he's going to pick it up, probably when you need him to be in those later matchups or playoffs. So if you get a good offer, take it, like Colton said, but if you kind of have a cushion with the guys you have to wait it out.
Let's go to I have a couple repeats on TikTok. One of them is this guy right here, who also came to our or what is it called? YouTube. Thank you very much. Should I start Shakir or Worthy this week? Worthy hasn't really gotten volume since week 1. Unfortunately, he said something like 4 points or less every week, I believe. Shakir's gotten volume, man. Shakir's gotten points every week. I don't mind starting Shakir, although we do know Rasheed is out.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Now Rasheed's out.
Tough one.
But you know,
You have to
Bills
take
and
the
Josh
chance
Allen.
this week. I think you got to take the chance this week and start Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, this would be the time to do it.
I agree.
But long term, I think Shakir might, because the Bills with Josh Allen just love throwing the ball. They throw the ball more than anybody else.
I got Higgins or Worthy or I don't know if this is right. I don't actually know the name. Leggett. Is that actually how I pronounce
Xavier
it?
Leggett from the Carolina Panthers. He scored his first touchdown this past week.
I don't mind starting T. Higgins. He got volume this past week, 6+ catches. I don't even know what he ended at, but he did get volume. I don't think you can bench T. Higgins. I don't know.
This is a discussion we have every week. Is I'll take the number 2 guy on a good offense all day, every day.
Yeah. Wilson or Pittman. I assume Garrett Wilson or Pittman. Pittman hasn't really. I don't actually know his stats off the top of my head right now.
Pittman lit up the Steelers. Let's just
he
he had
did?
over 100 yards in the first half as soon as they put Joe Flacco in. So if Joe Flacco plays, you're starting Michael Pittman. I think that's kind of where I'm going with this. If Joe Flacco gets to start with, I'm trying to think, does Indy have a bye this week or does Indy play this week?
No, Indy plays.
Indy plays.
So
Yeah.
If Indy is starting Joe Flacco, you're starting Michael Pittman. It's pretty easy for me. He's a sit back and pass, sit in the pocket and throw the football. Where Anthony Richardson kind of gives you a little bit of everything.
Indy is
not really great in the passing game. I know he started off the first drive well against Pittsburgh, but outside of that, it's a Joe Flacco sit in the pocket and throw the football thing. So if Joe Flacco's starting, you're starting Michael Pittman Jr.
Trade Kenneth Walker and Lad McConkey for Breece Hall. I don't like that. Kenneth Walker has been great when he's played, like incredible when he's played, and I don't think Breece has warranted. I don't even know if a 1-for-1 right now is correct for Breece between those two.
Again, the problem with
I wouldn't take a 1-for-1 with those two.
No, and Lad McConkey caught a touchdown this past week. Caught a touchdown week 1. I mean, they do use him a little bit. He's had in between not the best weeks, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm not doing a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, it's interesting. I think you said it last week when we talked about Kenneth Walker. I know he's been out the last 2 weeks. Had a big Monday night game there for Seattle. The thing is, when Kenneth Walker plays, he scores. I think you said that last week, Dom, because I think we had a question about Kenneth Walker pop up in fantasy. And again, we love hearing from you guys. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. We love hearing your comments. We got a few more to get to on YouTube. But, yeah, Kenneth Walker, when he's in, he scores. The only thing that I don't love about Kenneth Walker is that dude's always hurt.
Yep.
But when he plays, you can book a touchdown from Kenneth Walker. He always finds the answer.
Now, if you could have his backup, you could have Zach Charbonnet on your team too, and just keep them all year. Whichever one you put in, like whoever's not hurt, put in the other one. They both do incredibly well. So I mean, like I've been kind of riding that for like 2 years. It's been fantastic.
It seems like Kenneth Walker is kind of the most polarizing player or most asked about player that we get.
It's kind of true.
And it really is. Like if he's healthy, play him.
Yeah,
straight up.
It's kind of true. Yeah, let's get to this other YouTube one that Colton was talking about. What do we got here?
So it's Brian Thomas Jr. and it looks like Chuba Hubbard for Puka Nacua. You're 3-1. You have Brooks on your IR.
That's actually kind of tough.
That's for the other running back there. I don't know if I'm doing that deal. Your receivers are very good. I mean, Amon-Ra's great. I don't know also what's going on with Puka when Puka's going to be back. Like, I don't love giving up 2 starters for a guy that I don't know when's coming back. And he dropped a follow-up here for us to make it easy. His running backs Taylor, James Conner, and Jordan Mason. So those are 3 very good backs to have.
I mean, if Puka comes back and you have with that group is pretty much a wrap on the ending of the season. But
yeah, I mean, like the second half of your season, because I feel like the odd one out here or the least consistent one is DJ Moore. I mean, you would kind of maybe put Puka in that spot because you can't bench Amon Ra. He does great. Nico Collins has the most yards in the league by like 150 right now. It's nuts. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it seems like your team's pretty good nonetheless. So maybe if you want to take that gamble and you feel like you can afford to because you have the running backs too.
Yeah, if you feel like you can sit and wait for Puka for that home run to probably ice the league, I mean,
the guy he's trading with is in last place. That guy probably needs those two players for Puka right now too. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Brian Thomas has been good. He's already got 2 touchdowns on the season. Like, I got to tell you, man, if my honest opinion, which you came to us here, I'm staying with Brian Thomas Jr., to be honest, if you're going to ask for my honest opinion. I'm not trading for Puka Nacua because I don't know what the hell the Rams are going to – I don't know what the Rams are going to be. I don't know what Puka Nacua's health is going to be going forward because he already had the injury coming into the season, then aggravates it right out of the chute. For me, I'm keeping Brian Thomas Jr. because I think it's only going to get better as much as I hate Jacksonville. I think he's only going to get the ball more.
Garrett Borman on TikTok. Amari Cooper and Pollard for Garrett Wilson and Njoku.
What was that again?
He has Garrett Wilson. He has Garrett Wilson and Njoku. He'd be getting Amari Cooper and Pollard. I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. Amari Cooper's gotten a little bit of volume. And Tony Pollard hasn't been bad.
They might also trade Cooper.
Yeah, they might also
if trade Cooper gets dealt, then yes. Yeah. Right now, no. Yeah, I'm a sad Amari Cooper fantasy owner. He's had the one breakout week, and I know last week he got a touchdown taken away of like a very questionable holding call. So it's clearly his day would have been a hell of a lot better. But I mean, I don't know about that. Tony Pollard scares me. I know he's found the end zone a few times and had big plays there for the Titans. But I'm not trading Garrett Wilson, I don't think. I just think that connection is going to get only better with Rodgers. Again, it could change if Davante Adams comes in the door. But as Jake just said before, if you have – I'd rather have the number 2 guy in a great offense, you know. Again, it could be a very good thing with Garrett Wilson still. I don't love Amari Cooper unless he gets dealt. If he goes to Kansas City, you instantly fall in love with Amari Cooper. I mean, gosh. Catching balls from Mahomes, hello. But I don't know about you guys. That's kind of where I'm at with that one.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking that now. But
I feel like this one's a good one for Colton. I feel like he'll answer this pretty well. People keep trying to trade me trash for Cortland Sutton. What is Cortland Sutton's value?
Ooh. I would love to know what trash you're being offered.
Yeah.
But Cortland Sutton has you got to know what he is. I mean, you got to know what Cortland Sutton is. He's playing in an offense that had an insane stat line this week at the half with Bo Nix. It's a very conservative offense. They know they have a very good defense, which you saw this week as well with the other side of the coin with that crappy offensive performance at MetLife. They have a very good defense. They're kind of built like Pittsburgh. It's kind of don't make the turnover by also teaching Bo Nix how to play in the NFL. He's going to have his weeks. He had a great week the week before in week 3. He had a very good week, Cortland Sutton. And he had a crap week. Played a good defense in the Jets. He had Sauce Gardner probably tracking him the whole time. So, I mean, and it's bad weather. It depends what you're being offered. I mean, that's what doesn't help me with this question, that you're being offered trash, which I could get. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of fantasy questions.
I got an answer. I got an answer of what.
Yeah, what's trash?
Oh, yeah, the answer of the trash. Ray McLeod, I assume, is one of them, and the starting Patriots quarterback. So I assume Jacoby Brissett is what they were offered. I don't know if it's both, or just one was one trash and one was another trash. But they wrote Ray and starting quarterback.
Patriots if he desperately needs stuff, I mean, I wouldn't say it's trash. I mean, Ray McLeod's actually been a really good option there. Yeah. I think he's had 2 games over 10 fantasy points for the Atlanta Falcons, and it kind of seems like a guy that Kirk Cousins seems to find. Again, I'm not trading Cortland Sutton. It's going to be one of those that could benefit you later on, and he's a flex play every week, but it's not a consistent flex play. It's a guy that later on in the season, hopefully Bo Nix is, understanding the NFL and the speed of it more and more confidence. and he's going to be your consistent flex play going hopefully into the playoffs for you. It's one of those you got to hold on to if you're able to. Again, it's one of those. I don't love Cortland Sutton, but again, it's nice having him on my bench, knowing that it's there. I can go to anytime.
All right, I'm gonna rifle through some of these quick ones, these like 1-1s and stuff like that. Ayuk for Mixon. What do you guys think? Real fast.
Yes, if you're getting
Yes.
Mixon, yes.
I love it. Start Downs, Josh Downs, or Mooney.
I would say Mooney.
Mooney does.
If
get
Joe
targets.
Flacco's playing, I'm starting Josh Downs.
Yeah, that's
it's
probably
one of those weird questions. If it's Joe Flacco, it's Josh Downs.
Yep. Addison, Wandale, or Cooper, who do you start? With Neighbors potentially being out or hurt, Wandale might not be a bad option. He got like 1 billion targets this past week. What do you guys
They
think?
got 1 billion targets against what looks like a terrible Dallas defense, and
That's true.
it's also still the Giants.
Did you say Amari Cooper?
Yeah.
And what was the other? It was Wandale, Amari Cooper, and who was the other one?
Addison.
I'm starting Amari Cooper. It's one of those, sadly, you have to – I mean, he's the number one guy. I know they have the weapons they brought in. They trade for Jerry Jeudy and all that. And, oh, gosh, I always forget the guy. Was it Elijah Moore?
Yeah.
From the Jets? Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's the number one guy. You're always – it's one of those – I know the offense sucks, but, again, if there's no holding penalty, he has back-to-back 20-plus fantasy point weeks. I'm starting Amari Cooper.
We are getting volume now, boys. All right. Traded CMC for Brian Robinson, and Garrett Wilson. Traded CMC for Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson. If you traded for those guys,
What
that's
the-
awesome.
What the hell, a trade for that? That's
Yeah.
nuts. That's a
not-
haul. Good for you.
Well, good for you, because I really don't think McCaffrey's playing until like Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Should you trade Pacheco? What do you guys think? Yes or no?
Should you?
Again, it
For
depends
what?
what you get.
I'll take anything for. I'll take something for anybody. Like depends on what it is.
That's right. He's
Yeah,
tradable.
I mean, it
that's for
depends
sure.
what you're. It depends what you're offered. It's a very easy one. If it's like a halfway, if it's like a flex player for a guy that's out for 7 weeks, yeah, I'm doing that.
These are nonstop comments coming in. Thoughts on Garrett Wilson? We like Garrett Wilson. I know Colton was saying if he gets a volume, he's number one. That connection will only get better. Pollard and Shakir to receive Brown and Najee. There's a lot of Browns.
With Brown.
Which Brown?
I'm assuming that's AJ
That's
Brown.
AJ Brown? Oh man, I gotta refine this. Oh no.
Oh, you lost it.
Oh, I lost it. Oh, Will commented. I'm gonna ignore that. He's against me. I'm not doing that. Pollard and Shakir to receive Brown and Najee. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if that's the case,
I
I mean,
like
it
that.
also
AJ
depends.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure AJ Brown's knocking on the doorsteps to return. So, I mean,
He'll be back after the bye.
yeah.
This week.
So, when's your buy? Is your buy
This
next
week.
week?
Week five.
Right
so
now.
like
Oh,
this
so-
week,
oh,
that's
yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
benefit.
yes, take that trade. Yes, 20 million%. I don't trust Tony Pollard going forward. And yeah, and Shakir, sure, Buffalo wants to throw the football. I am taking the number one receiver 20,000 out of 20,000 times. And Pittsburgh wants to run the football every single time. Not that it's going to be great production from Najee. I'm taking AJ Brown. I don't care about the rest of the deal. Give me AJ Brown.
Yeah, that was my point. That was what I said. To get AJ Brown, yes.
And everyone, thank you much. I can't even keep up with these comments. We're gonna do some more, and then we'll get kind of back to the show because this is not just a fantasy football
Yeah.
show, but we do appreciate it.
We
and
might
we're
have
gonna
to.
try
We might have
answer.
to make another show. We might have to do another show during the week. Just fantasy football only.
Yeah, I talked about this to Will actually recently. I kind of want to develop that as well because we definitely, if this is the volume we're getting for fantasy, I definitely want to because I'd love to answer everyone's questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Follow. We do this every week. We might do a fantasy show every week where we just sit here and answer questions. But thank you very much. We'll get back to the rest of our show and let's do maybe 5 minutes. I'm just gonna rifle these off.
Pick 3 questions.
Pick 3.
Yeah,
Gosh, there's a
find 3
ton.
good ones.
Let's see. Good ones. Who to flex? JSN, Deontay Johnson, Scary Terry, or Zay? Pick 2 flexes out of those 4 guys.
Terry for sure.
Terry for sure. I agree. JSN got volume. Deontay
No,
Johnson.
it's Deontay Johnson until otherwise proven.
I'm fine with that. Terry and Deontay, I'm good with that 100%. Start 2, Deontay. Wait, nope. Start 2, Deontay Johnson, Drake London, or Debo.
Debo and Deontay.
Debo and Deontay?
Yeah, I think it's Debo and Deontay.
Okay. Diggs and Marvin Harrison for James Cook, Addison, and Brooks.
I missed it because I was looking at the
Yeah,
last.
Stephon Diggs and Marvin Harrison for James Cook, Addison, and Brooks. I don't know, man. Stephon Diggs gets volume for sure. Marvin Harrison did. Sometimes that's hit or miss. James Cook obviously didn't week. That's a tough one. Singletary and Jennings for DK.
What, Jawan Jennings, I'm assuming?
Jawan Jennings, I guess. Singletary and Jawan Jennings for DK. That sounds worth it. Not gonna lie.
Do you want a quick answer to the kid in the chat asking?
Yeah, what do we got?
He's asking, well, they read from here or TikTok. You can do both.
Yeah, we'll do both for sure. There's a lot less volume on YouTube, so we see them like much faster. And also, I'd like to say to Noel Balsey, I don't know, who knows. At least it's not Will trying to pronounce names. Thanks for the input, though, fellas. You guys get the sub. Thank you very much.
Spencer is asking because his comment did get lost in the shuffle there from Noel, so I'm going to jump
that
to
up
here.
there.
That'd be this one right here.
We'll end
Shoot
with this.
away.
I'm having trouble with who to start in PPR league as far as wide receivers go. Any advice? Need to start 3 out of these guys. MHJ, who's MHJ? Marvin Harrison Jr. Thank you.
Maserati Mar.
Michael Pittman,
Aston
Xavier
Martin.
Worthy, Brian Tom, Juan Jennings, Dontavian Wicks. Why did I choose these?
I mean, as we're going back to Pittman, if Flacco's starting, should be one of those 3.
Yep.
I mean, I like leaning. I'm a believer in Harrison.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, right?
I think your first 2 are locks, and I think you have to start Brian Thomas Jr. as well.
Those first 3. That sounds good. Everyone on TikTok, thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Again, we may do like a quick rifle off session at the end. But let's get back to this show.
We're sneaking this
one
last
more.
one in since
Yep.
you commented on YouTube. I'm sneaking him in. I don't care. I'm giving Jacob a shot here.
Good
Should I trade
banana
Etienne
man
and Pollard for Bijan? Yes, I'm
Yes.
doing that. Yes.
Yeah, like that.
I know it seems like a lot because Etienne, again, as much as I hate Jacksonville, he's still number 1 running back, and Tony Pollard has been very good. I just don't trust Tennessee. You know what's also weird, man? I don't want to go on a tangent because we're 50 minutes into the show. We haven't even done power rankings yet.
Cliff Notes version.
So I'm going to give you the Clip Notes version of it. Talent-wise, it's Bijan. You're getting Bijan. I got to tell you, though, Bijan hasn't been everything he's been drawn out to be as far as fantasy football-wise. I got to tell you, this guy came in with so much hype, and it's like, all hype, no product. So, like, at the same token, watching this, I don't know if I'm trading that much to get Bijan Robinson. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like ever since he's been drafted, the talent that's been there and like thrown in everyone's face as far as Bijan, there's no end product. The talent's there. There's no touchdowns. So he hasn't had any monster games since being in the league.
I think that's the overarching issue of what we've had believing in Atlanta versus your opinion with Atlanta. Like, we believe in Atlanta. We believe in the talent they've, accumulated. But then there's like your side where it's like, these guys aren't doing a much.
It's true.
So, I mean, that's kind of the opinion of Atlanta on this show between the 3 of us.
I assume
Chris, you're lucky. You're lucky, Chris. This is the last one I'm doing. I don't care if anyone else comments. We appreciate your comments. We got other stuff we got to get to.
Yeah, we
Otherwise,
gotta
we're
move
having a 2-hour show. And I might have I just shaved today, trimmed up the beard. It's going to be full grown again. So, no, this is the last one. Appreciate you guys on the Fantasy Talk. Chris says, should I trade Zay Flowers and Josh Jacobs for Travis Etienne? Speaking of the devil of Etienne. No, I feel like you're giving up way too much there. Again, same thing with Josh Jacobs. He's had the last few seasons where it's not great. Just like Bijan, I don't think I can give up Zay Flowers because they don't have another wide receiver there. I know Bateman scored this last week. Zay Flowers is the guy. I'm not trading that much for ETN.
And Josh Jacobs does. I mean, he's got touches this year too. So
Yeah, I don't think I would trade either one of those 1-for-1.
Yeah.
For
wow, you were so nice to him, Colton.
I know he's been horrible. I have him. I'm
so
very
the
invested in
Ravens,
Zay
but they're going to do
Flowers.
better.
They'll do
I'm
better.
very
Their best
invested.
game was this past week.
He had
Yeah.
He was good week 1, wasn't he? Wasn't he really good week 1?
I think so.
Appreciate you guys as always, man. I love getting all
Yeah.
the comments. It's awesome.
It is great. All right. Buy solds. Quarterback power rankings. Well, I don't have the power rankings done. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'll have the graphic up of our power rankings, and in 4 weeks when we do another one, we're gonna see the movement of each team, and it's gonna be drastic and it'll be
Why don't we just
hilarious.
Do top 5, bottom 5. So
I can do top 5, bottom 5, probably, maybe. I don't know top 5.
Well, our top 5's the bottom 5.
I can tell you what the bottom 5 is collectively because I've gotten that far.
Alright.
Collectively, our bottom 5 in power rankings: number 32, unanimously, decisively, Jacksonville. It's not close. We all Jacksonville at number 32. Number 31 ended up being Carolina, even though not one single one of us put them at number 31 individual, which is kind of hilarious. But we all put them number 30. They ended up just falling down to 31. Number 30 on the power rankings was the Rams. Damn, that's kind of crazy. Number 29 was Cleveland, and after this past week losing to Vegas, yeah, that makes sense. And number 28 was New England. So that's the bottom 5.
So even with Colton and I putting Miami
Me and you.
Oh, you and me.
We put Miami number 31. They didn't even
31.
make the bottom. They're bottom 6.
All right.
Colton, what's your top 5?
My top 5 teams would be the Minnesota Vikings, the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs. I was about to say Chiefs. I don't even know how that's possible. The Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Houston Texans. It's a very weird top 5. I don't love any of these teams outside of Minnesota, I think, and Kansas City, which I can't believe I'm saying out of my mouth right now. But outside of that, I think everyone else is – I think there could be huge changes when it comes to when we redo this again in a few weeks and get Will back into the mix again. But, yeah, I feel like that's – it'd be disrespectful to the Minnesota Vikings. They don't feel like the number 1 overall team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care what side you're on the coin on this one. They have to be the number 1 team of everyone they've beaten. They've beaten everyone's darling in the Houston Texans, which, again, is in my top 5, so it'd be stupid. San Francisco 49ers, back-to-back NFC champs, Super Bowl team, and just kind of expect to do the same thing this year, dismantle them. It'd be disrespectful not to put them in. I mean, what they've done, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Minnesota and Green Bay. Everyone loves Green Bay this year, and myself included. I think Jordan Love, again, back, kind of had a Brett Favre game. Shockers wearing a Brett Favre jersey on his way into the building with 4 touchdowns and 3 picks. But you have to give a shout out to the Minnesota Vikings being the number 1 team.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have Minnesota 1. I had them 2.
Jake is the only one that didn't have Minnesota at 1. Jake, you could go.
I was saying, why is that? I was saying, why is
Detroit 1. That's why.
I love Detroit and the biting kneecaps. Again, it's one of those I feel like it's disrespectful not to have Minnesota 1.
No, I mean, I definitely was I wasn't even considering them for any lower than that. Wasn't even a thought in my brain because of, again, who they beat. I'm a big believer in Detroit, and they're just out there smacking good teams too. Seattle's not a bad team. That's a very good team that they dismantled.
I can tell you, Will's top 5 is Minnesota, Kansas City, Detroit, Houston, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I can tell you the trends. How about here? Here's some trends. Colton is the only one that had Baltimore in the top 5. Thoughts on that?
If you're asking me to defend that, is it a team that was, centimeters away from possibly tying or winning the game in Kansas City opening night? Is it a team that dismantled everyone's darling? Again, I know maybe not all of us in here love Buffalo, but Buffalo's a damn good football team, and they pissed on them. I just think Baltimore's getting it going. Lamar's played well. Derrick Henry's, putting his, the crown back on his head with his performance Monday night. I just think Baltimore's a top 5 team. What are we shocked about? I kind of have them in there.
They'll move up to there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're there right now because it's a results league. Like, yeah, you could be close against Kansas City. You didn't win. You could be close. Didn't win. Like, you beat Dallas and had to hang on. That team's bad.
Lost to Vegas. That's decisively what did it for me is the loss to Vegas part. It's like, but they're getting it together.
They're getting it together, but they definitely don't warrant a top 10 right now.
What are some other trends? I'm the only one with Buffalo top 5, and that really comes down to like the first three weeks were decisive as hell. It seemed like they were number 1 after week 3 in my book. But obviously they lost pretty substantially to Baltimore, and Baltimore shut them out. So that would have, for me, dropped them from 1 to 4 this past week in my mind. So that's just kind of what my thinking was there.
We all kind of do these differently, though. I go and look at these like a college football ranking. Like, Detroit was higher than Minnesota to start, so they had less to climb to be number 1 over them. It's like who you beat and how. How convincing was your win? And even if you get close and lose, you don't get the credit for it. Like, I have the Chiefs 4 because outside 4 plays, they're 0-4. Like, they're not a top 2 team to me.
So my interesting one here, you guys all seem to love Tampa Bay.
They just earned it. No, I really am not a huge fan. Like, I still want to hold on them. But what can I say except that they just handled business? It's like Minnesota. Like, they just come out and they just go on about their business and won. Outside of that, what was it, Denver? That blip game, like, they've looked good every single game.
This is the most wicked power rankings we've had, by the way.
Because this is the most wild start of a season I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like, New Orleans on our books here are way different. Me and Jake have them top 10. You don't even have them top 15. Colton and has them at 12. But I have them, me and Jake both have them at 8.
Well, it's because their 2 losses are teams that
this has kind of been a crazy season to start, man. Colton, how do you feel? Oh, wait. No, Will has Pittsburgh higher than you. I
found it quite disrespectful. No disrespect, Jake, to your top 15 there. But God Almighty, Pittsburgh's got to be a top 10 team. I'm sorry, I find that.
You're beating bad teams barely. No, I justify the. I knew before the show even started. No, you're barely beating bad teams. Like, you can be 3-1.
Atlanta's not a bad team. Sorry. Atlanta's not a bad team. Beat them in your building.
Was that week 1?
Yeah, and now look at them. They've gotten better. That was their worst performance.
Yeah.
Beat them week 1 in your building. I'm trying to think who the heck the Steelers beat week 2.
Denver.
That was Denver.
Was awful.
Well, they just beat the New York Jets, who everyone loves.
I don't think the Jets are good. Look where I had the Jets. I had the Jets lower than both of us.
Yeah.
And then who the heck was week 3 on the schedule? Oh my gosh, I'm awful. How do I not know my own team schedule off the top of my head? I'm already on to what's called now. I'm already on to Dallas. Who the hell did they beat in week 3?
Chargers.
Ah, that's right. Everyone loves the Chargers.
No, we think they're a middling team who will be better in a couple of years, but they're not good right now.
Again, outside of us, I think we kind of all agree. I think a lot of people love the Chargers. Sorry,
no, we like the Chargers. We just don't think that they're some powerhouse team.
Well, out of all those teams that they've beaten, there's probably 2 of those teams that have top 10 defenses. And that'd be Denver, and that would be the Chargers. They beat both of them. And the big question that a lot of people asked was, can Justin Fields come back Like, it was kind of, all right, 17-0. What is Pittsburgh going to do when they don't have a lead and they're not kind of like on schedule? And you saw what they can do. And the fact that if they're not a bad snap away, miscommunication in that 2-minute drive there, I think the Steelers have a chance to go down and win the game. They're 4-0. So I just think it's, again, I think Pittsburgh's easily a top 10 team. And they're going to prove it, I think, Sunday night against Dallas.
Well, I don't think beating Dallas is not what it was the last couple of years. I think we should. I don't know. I haven't looked at the picks, all of us, but I think that should be a sweep Pittsburgh because Dallas stinks. I don't even think I think I had Dallas in my bottom 10.
We didn't have Dallas that far out. I don't think any of us did from the bottom 10 right now. Let's move on though. Let's go to ISO holds. And that graphic. Well, I still got to make the graphic for the power rankings, but I will put that out as well in the next 2 days. I still got things going through that. But buy, sell, holds, buys. Colton, thoughts?
I am going to buy into Derrick Henry in the Baltimore Ravens. I have them in my top 5. There's no reason I'm not going to buy them now and be disrespectful and back myself out of what I've already said today. I got to buy the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're starting to figure out what they are and figuring out how to get Derrick Henry going in this offense. And you've seen it the last few weeks. Buying into King Henry.
Yeah, I brought it up a couple times. I really, really was impressed with what the Detroit Lions did on that Monday night game. Detroit not easy buy this week.
I think I already bought Detroit.
Uh-oh.
Yep, I bought Detroit.
Here we go.
I bought Detroit week 2. I don't even like who I freaking held because I still want to hold on to them. I can't even make a decision about those. Sheesh. Jeez.
What do you got, kid?
Oh, my God.
Well, while you're thinking, I know
You know
where Joe.
what? No. I'm going to buy Washington. I'm going to buy Washington. I'm going to buy Washington.
He's in there. Well,
I'm
you know
gonna
who's
do it.
also buying the commies? And that'd be our producer behind the scenes. So that'd be Will buying the commies.
Commander's
And
fan.
he says Jared Goff, but only the receiver version of Jared Goff.
Of course you said that.
I love that, sir.
Of
Are
course.
you shocked? It's Will. And speaking of receivers, he also buys the man from Bama, Roll Tide Roll, and Ryan Williams from his performance there in that insane game there between
Kill everyone? That was wild.
Was it? I don't know
He's
anything about
his
this.
eye black. Hey, you wrote from the I forgot what movie it is off the top of my head right now. Kill everyone.
Wow. That's kind of hard. That's pretty
And
tough.
he's like 17 years old.
Oh, that kid. Yeah, that kid's insane.
He's nuts.
That kid is nuts.
That
That's
kid's
right.
a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy Washington though, because they've gotten better every single week. I said that was my game of the week. They dismantled Arizona. It just looks easier. It looks better. Jaden Daniels looks good. Scary Terry's got it in the groove. So I'm gonna do that thing. Did you buy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Sells, holds.
I'll start this one, I guess.
Go for it.
I'm selling Miami. They're cooked. I don't even think that a healthy Tua comes back this season. Because I don't think they're going to be positioned to need him by the time he comes back. They're going to fall so far out of it. You can't look like that against the Titans and have your season continue.
Damn, it's kind of true. Colton?
Yeah, I hate the jump on the wagon. It's not good.
If you do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I gotta sell on Dolphins. It's unfortunate I am currently doing this show from a Dolphins household. You wouldn't believe me but if anyone's noticed the last few weeks, this is my wonderful green screen that I bring with me everywhere I go. Go Berg. But
You're sleeping on the couch. You're sleeping on the couch this week.
But yeah, it's the Dolphins. It's definitely down in the blues around this household. It's unfortunate. Again, if you have Tua, it's a legitimate offense. They glad to win Monday night. The problem was you need a backup in this league, and no offense, you know what your quarterback is in Tua and his health. that we've seen the last few seasons. It's a bad job by the Dolphins not having a backup quarterback, a legitimate backup for Tua, and you're going to pay the price for it.
That's a team that should have gone out and spent whatever it took to get Joe Flacco or Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Well, they brought in Mike White and they let him go.
Again, but that's not even. I would still Mike White.
I agree. I mean, I'd rather Taylor Heineke or Joe Flacco or Tyrod Taylor. I agree. I agree with all of it.
Yeah, I'm jumping on the train too. I mean, unanimous across the line here. Sell on Miami because I thought maybe. I mean, you still have the targets. You still have the guys that are really good at receiving and running after and everything, and you still have a run game. I thought. But, like, you can't get a football to the guys, and apparently run game is non-existent, even on offense. So, and defense is pretty sold right now. So, yeah, no. Miami, 100% gone, sold. What did Will sell?
He's selling on the New Orleans Saints.
Which I think is kind of premature.
That's wild to do that. Just not hold them. Go straight to the
Make sure we hold him accountable. Make sure that's written down. Make sure that's written down somewhere.
That reflected in his power rankings. I will say that did reflect in his power rankings. So at least he's a little consistent there.
And I held him for 2 weeks. He's done after one tight loss to a division team. Done.
Crazy to me. Crazy to me.
That's right.
Little reactive.
Write it down in the books. Write it down in the books.
Holds, gentlemen.
I'm gonna piggyback off our man behind the scenes here. Will is holding the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm also going to hold on to the Bengals, and I'm going to throw in another hold as well, and that is a team that you bought there, Dom. And I'm going to hold on to the Commies. Hold on to the Commanders. Okay. I'm impressed with what's going on there. I just got to see a little bit more of it. I think they're definitely on the right track, and they're not. And again, they're going to be a team I kind of thought they could be with Jane Daniels being the best quarterback in this draft. Holding on to the Commanders and holding on to the bungholes in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah. I held Bengals since week 1 and haven't bought in just yet. Dom watched me do my thought process here. We sat down before we started. And I'm like not with that Burrow performance, not yet. I can't buy him yet. I'm gonna follow through with a comment I made earlier. Like, yeah, Chiefs are winning, but especially with Rice out now, it was, again, 4 plays and you're 0-4. That's a razor thin margin that I'm going to hold on until they either collapse, which I don't think they'll do, or they become the Chiefs again.
I've been holding Dallas for 3 weeks now, and I just don't want to make a decision there still. So,
I think you could have made that decision this week.
To buy?
To sell.
I don't want to sell them either, though. I mean, like, Dak got it more together this past week, I thought.
It's Giants.
Exactly. That's why I want to hold them
could
still.
Barely stop the Giants.
That's why I want to. Well, defensively, I could sell their defense, but I'm gonna hold the Patriots for negative reasons because honestly, like, it was cool. I thought they started the season. I was like, oh man, like it's a new team and whatnot. Like, they're performing better than I thought. Maybe I was a little positive about stuff. Like, hey man, I really thought we were gonna suck. And it didn't look like we were really sucking. But now for the last 2 weeks, it looks like we kind of freaking blow. With where my expectations were. But now I got to hold them because I thought my expectations, I was like, above my expectations to start the season. Maybe this is a good thing. And now we're right where my expectations were, which was now negative. So I'm just going to hold on to them. And maybe they could show me something or show me nothing. And I'll make it.
Yeah, that's decision. Wild. That's wild that you haven't sold those clowns yet. But I'm trying to think if I sold them week 2 or not.
Yeah, I don't think it. Why would you have sold them? They almost went 2-0.
Why? I sold on Carolina after week 1.
Yeah, but
don't worry, there's no holding or anything on Carolina. I don't care if I sold them already. They're not good.
Yeah,
I did not. You did. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, then that's
sold them yet, but
there's a teaser for my next week's sell, folks. I'm selling on the Patriots next week. There's my teaser. You can already.
What if they have a great week?
I don't care. Selling it.
The only thing that has me stopping from having sold the Patriots already is the defense does not look like.
Yeah, but we like let the Jets do whatever they wanted against us.
Again, it's just like
It's just like
we don't know yet. Like I'm probably not going to sell them all season unless May comes in and looks bad.
it's also expectations too, Colton. So it's like if your expectations are for them to be bad and they're kind of bad, but they're also better than kind of bad.
That's why it's an easy sell. Like that's why I sold on the Dolphins this week. It was an easy one, and the Patriots will follow suit next week. They're gonna probably lose again, and it's gonna be a Patriots sell. And then when it gets to the nitty gritty part of the season, then that's where I start making my tough decisions on the sell part. But I'm getting the easy ones out of the way now.
I like that. I'm also gonna hold Vegas Raiders. I want to see what they do with this whole situation. I want to see what they get, where they are. They've exceeded like everyone's expectations so far. I think that's safe to say. They've beat teams that we didn't think they'd beat, or at least done well. I mean, they beat Baltimore. They just beat Cleveland, which isn't saying much, but still. They have a better record than what I thought they would be at this moment. But now amidst this whole Davante Adams situation, I want to see where this goes, how this goes, what happens, what they potentially get, and that could make my decision for next week as well. I'm currently holding like 4 or 5 teams right now, but whatever, throughout the weeks. No one's shown me enough, man.
Actually,
I don't know.
None of my holds have I bought or sold yet.
Yeah, it's just we need to see more. That's where we're at. So, picks time?
Picks time.
Oh, I don't know how you have this designed. Okay. We're going to do that. Yep. There you go. Okay. Cook. Let's see the records. Boom.
Go.
I had the best week this week, by the way, gentlemen. After picking like 7 ups this week, I came out with 1 better than y'all. So, some give or take, but just slightly a little bit more take for me. Or I don't even, whatever. But I think I went 9-7. You guys went 8-8 this week. And here's where we are with a little bit more of a varied week than usual. I'm trying to get out of this freaking hole. It's a tighter window than it's been all season at least. So kind of that's where we're at. Not the best looking records though, I will say. We definitely started last season a little bit better. But let's go to the first game. What do we got? Tampa Bay. It's verse, so it's at Tampa Bay. Is that what that means?
At Atlanta.
No,
At Atlanta?
I think it's at Atlanta.
Okay. Usually it is right at Atlanta. All right, so Tampa Bay at Atlanta Thursday night. What do we got?
By the way, how many games is Atlanta going to get in prime time? Holy cow. Feels like this is the Jets.
It feels like we've had the same games in primetime every week, right? Like,
I feel like this is the Jets from last year. Like, oh yeah, they get Kirk Cousins. Hype. You guys are like the Atlanta thing from last year. Like, you're hype, everyone in here. Just jump to this season. Like, oh, Kirk Cousins. Ooh, here you go. Here's Kirk Cousins in your face now in primetime.
Feels like we've seen Kansas City every week. Feels like we've seen Buffalo every week. Feels like we've seen Baltimore a little bit. Feels like we've seen Atlanta every week.
I think Baltimore's been at least a 4:30 game every week.
At least so is Kansas City, I think.
All right. Yeah, I think we swept this one with Tampa.
Oh, I don't have the picks up.
Yeah, we swept it.
I have it up. I have it up. I'll go along with it. Yes, we do have a Tampa Bay sweeper here.
All right. Next, we have the New Jersey Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. That's another group. Yep, all Minnesota.
The Jets fan picked against the Jets.
That's what happened. Well, I don't know if he's a bigger fan of Sam or the Jets. I'm not entirely
That's
sure.
also true.
Oh,
that is very true. That's very true.
Carolina at Chicago is next. We're split.
Yeah. I have Chicago.
We are
this is the first and probably only time I will pick Chicago.
This may be the first and only time I pick Carolina.
That's very true. This might be the first and only time I pick Carolina.
So this is kind of a wild split.
Hey, if they lose this game, though, you know who my sell is next week.
That's valid.
One Mr. Caleb Williams.
Wow, what a game. Glad that's 1:00. Next game, yep. Cleveland at Washington. Colton. The hell?
Lone Wolf, baby. Lone Wolf. No offense. This is where, again, I joked about selling on the Patriots next week. If Cleveland loses this game, this is my sell. I mean, this is what season down the tubes. This is the if they lose, this is the Jameis Winston conversation that we'll be having next week. This is what this. If they lose, this is the conversation piece starting off our show next week. Probably, unless there's a big trade or anything insane. Is it time for Jameis Winston in Cleveland? That's exactly how the show is going to start off next week. If this does not turn out the way my picks are going, I mean, I hope they lose. Screw Cleveland. I mean, I'm a Steeler fan. I hope Cleveland loses. But, like, I think Cleveland wins. Like, this is, like, must-win territory because this is going to turn into, holy cow, we're screwed with Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, I'm lone wolf in Cleveland.
Yeah, and then the rest of us are taking Washington. I've said enough this week about Washington, so that's kind of... next game, Miami at New England. Now, keep in mind, we all just sold on Miami. Me and Jake put Miami second to last in our power ranking.
Yeah, I think I'm going to – I was debating on whether I actually pull the trigger on New England because they burnt me last time.
And I kind of feel the same, and now we might not start Ramondre Stevenson because he's fumbled every single week so far, so we might go with Antonio Gibson. So, like, the Patriots don't make me super happy about that one either, kind of, but I don't.
So, Jake, what are you doing? Your pick is blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was me talking myself into New England.
All right, so you're going New England.
I'm not pulling the Dom and selling Miami and then picking them.
I know.
Oh,
that's not a bomb.
I am. I'm the
That's
asset that's doing it. I'm the asset that's doing it. So I'll come in with a clown emoji next week as well. So I'm taking the Dolphins. This is their season. And again, you mentioned that we might not see Tua the rest of the season. This could very well be that point. If they don't win this game, I don't know if you rush back Tua. It could be longer for seeing Tua if he comes back and plays. This, I think, it sounds crazy as it is. Like, I think we have a lot of must-wins this week. Cleveland, Miami. Your must-wins. Season's around the line, boys. Let's see what you got. I think the Dolphins have to win this game. I'm picking Miami. I'm picking the desperate team.
I'm still kind of torn about this game, especially with the Ramondre Stevenson thing. He's kind of like been our best player on offense, I thought. But my pride will not let me take Miami in this game. So
yeah, the problem is like both the Miami games since the Tua injury, or really the Skylar Thompson injury. We have to really learn anything or have like a waited out or thrust it right into two mediocre teams they're playing against where it's like, well, do I really want to pick the Indians? Do I really want to pick New England?
100%. Let's go to the next game. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. The man behind having a truck right now in the production truck is choosing Jacksonville. The only one of us choosing Jacksonville this week. That's what Will's going. The rest of us are taking Indianapolis. Indianapolis has showed me enough. Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson or both. I'm taking.
Will has the producer behind the glass has the stats, and the Colts have not won in Jacksonville in 11 years. So the boys going with the numbers. We're sticking with the numbers. As ass as Jacksonville is.
It's wild.
Will is a big numbers guy. It makes sense.
It's wild.
Next game, Buffalo at Houston.
Dom, you are the blank man in this one.
I don't think Houston has done anything decisively enough this season. Buffalo, 3 out of 4 weeks, has been very decisive. But also, and now we're coming off a bad week, and I feel like Buffalo always bounces back in the past couple of years. And Houston, Houston just hasn't won a game decisively, or they've always just kind of. I don't like it.
I think Diggs goes off.
Diggs could.
I think I picked this for the Diggs revenge game.
I didn't consider that, and the one thing that really held me back from just picking Buffalo immediately was the fact that Nico Collins is unstoppable, and I feel he'll still have a game and stuff no matter what. I could see Buffalo's defense kind of going off. Man, I don't know. And
boy, just pick.
Make a decision here, kid. We're already well over an hour.
I'm gonna go with Buffalo, man. I'm gonna screw it. I'm gonna go with Buffalo. That was gonna be my knee-jerk reaction, so I'm just gonna stick with the gut.
We're going AFC North football here. Baltimore, bungholes. We have another empty. Jake.
Nope, I'm filling it in right now. I did it already. Baltimore.
And who?
Wow. That's shocking to
we're
me.
split. We have a split here. We got Will and Dom riding the Bengals, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is with the Ravens. Jake is following suit with the Ravens.
Wow. Okay. Damn. I'm surprised you went Baltimore. I really thought. I know you've been liking the Bengals.
I know. I'm normally a more Bengals guy over Baltimore, but
Damn.
like I wanted to buy them week. I really did, but I didn't like.
Well,
Okay.
go to the game that no one cares about here, and that would be the Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew game here. And again, you two, please make your decisions.
Bro, I really don't even know.
I really don't know either.
This game sucks. This is
Just
like
take
last
the better
week's like
defense. Just take the
Yeah.
better defense. I mean, Jake, you could totally take Vegas. I mean, I'm totally fine if you take Vegas.
See, I was counting how many we had different this week before I went to you. No, Denver.
All right, so
I'm just gonna
Where you two-
I'm just
where you
gonna
two
play
going?
defense.
you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna take Vegas. I'll die on the sword. I don't care. Here I am.
I'll take Denver as some playing defense.
Screw it. I'll be the lone wolf. I'll take Vegas for my family.
True.
Just where I'm at.
I was
I don't. This game sucks, so I'll go for the family.
I was gonna tell your mom you picked Denver over the Raiders.
Yeah. I guarantee you she picked Vegas. So. She's been killing her picks every week.
Well, we got a clean sweep here. I fell on the Arizona sword last week. This was the game I took Arizona last week, and it was all in on them. And yeah, no, I don't know when I'm picking Arizona again. So yeah, clean sweep here across the board on San Francisco. Then we're going back to the West Coast, and we have another clean sweep of the Seattle Seahawks over the New York Football Giants. Hit me next with our next one, Will. We have another clean sweep. We're going another sweep. And give me the Green Bay. Go, Pack, go. Over your Los Angeles Rams, gents. Sorry to tell you, I don't know what the Rams are, what they're looking like.
Again,
Yeah,
I don't think you two should be allowed to pick against the Rams.
I might have picked the Rams once this year so far.
I know.
Fraudulent.
Look at all this.
They're fraudulent
Look at all this Ram stuff in here.
Fraudulent fans. They're Rams fans. They're Commanders fans. I can't trust either of these guys. Can't trust them. And we're heading to the Sunday night football in the Berg, home of the Bridges. And we have a lone wolf in the house. That'd be Dom. Lone wolf.
Don't back out now.
No, I'm not gonna back out. I went Dallas. I think it's a close enough game. I think Dak's kind of gotten the offense more under his reins and stuff. And I feel like they always perform better at night games. You know, they lost like 2 weeks ago in a night game. Wait, no.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? All right, so maybe not. But I always feel like they do better at night games, so like whatever. So I'm just gonna go with Dallas, man. That's it.
Lone
Pittsburgh
wolf.
gets revenge for that Zeke game from a few years ago. Well, I guess it's 8 years ago now.
I'm also currently holding Dallas for the third week in a row. So like I feel like here's your chance. Make a decision.
Here we go. Final game of the week. We're heading to Kansas City. Do the Chiefs stay undefeated? Everyone says yes. We have a clean sweep again to end out our
I'm
week.
not gonna lie, I really feel like New Orleans could win this game.
Oh, they could. They won't.
But they won't.
I almost want to
I
pick.
think we all know why, but I'm not going to say it.
Oh, why not?
Nope, not doing it right now. We're not going off on a tangent with over almost an hour and a half.
I hope
If it happens, I'm doing it next week.
I hope they win because Will sold them.
Oh, goodness. Dom, take me home, Dom.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much for watching. What a show. TikTok's been blowing the hell up. Thank you, everyone on there. I'm sorry if we did not get to your fantasy questions. We did like half an hour's worth of fantasy questions midway through the show. It was a ton, and thank you, everyone, for commenting and coming to us for your advice for your fantasy. We may have to develop a fantasy show, and we will keep you updated. Follow the TikTok for next week's show for the content, especially on Football Sunday. If we do start a fantasy show, it will be broadcasted there. You can ask us all the questions in the world then, and next week as well. You can follow us on all these things ticking at the bottom of the screen: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere that a podcast comes out on, we're there. So you can look us up there as well. Thank you guys, everyone, very much. I'm glad that, so many people have been trusting us for their fantasy advice. We've been wrong and we've been right during those weeks. I can tell you that.
I think we've been way more right than wrong.
We have been. We have been way more right than wrong, but there are some times where I remember saying something to someone and then Thursday night happens and the next night I'm like, well, that dude didn't do anything. So we try. It's all a gamble. You know how it goes.
How many combined championships do we have among this
Hold
group?
on, how many fantasy championships do you have?
He is muted.
He's muted.
I think he just turned it off.
Yeah, it just doesn't even hear us. Is that it? I know Will has a fresh fantasy championship. I have 2 in the bank. Jake has one.
Sorry, I didn't know you were talking to me. I got it blacked out there for a second.
You're good.
I have a few championships to my name. I'm actually in a really good spot so far. I'm like 5 leagues this year. I'm in a good spot in all of them. So I do not have one league where it's like, all right, already sold it. See you later. Team's done. I'm 500 or over 500 in all my leagues. So I'm very happy with my team so far.
I've always just been the one league kind of guy, but
I am 500.
Football. I'm like, it's way too much of a problem. Well, that's the thing. I don't gamble a lot, sports betting. So like my thing is fantasy football.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah, before I joined your guys' league, I had a couple.
Yeah. And you did the league. But thank you, everyone, so much for watching, for commenting, for everything. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And everyone have a great week. Watch some football. Watch some hockey coming up. Watch some MLB World Series baseball because that is here.
The Astros were just eliminated.
The Astros were just eliminated. So thank you to that. And we will see y'all next week.
Feel better, Will.
Feel better, Will.
He still sucks.
Will still suck.